The Wealth Secret of the Talmud Introduction. Imagine a struggling merchant walking through the narrow streets of an ancient Jewish town. His clothes are worn, his face lined with worry. He approaches the great rabbi and asks, "Rabbi, I work hard every day, but my wealth never lasts. What is the secret to financial success?" The rabbi looks at him with kind eyes and says, "The answers you seek have been written in the Talmud for centuries." The merchant listens carefully as the rabbi continues, "Wealth is not only about money. It is about wisdom, honesty, generosity, and discipline. If you follow the path of the Talmud, success will find you." This story may be fictional, but its wisdom is real. For over 2,000 years, the Talmud has provided timeless financial principles that have guided generations of people to prosperity. Unlike modern self-help books that promise quick riches, the Talmud teaches a balanced approach to wealth, one that combines hard work, ethical business practices, generosity, and smart investments. In today's world, financial stress is common. People chase after money only to find that they never have enough. Businesses rise and fall, fortunes are gained and lost, and many wonder, is there a better way? The Talmud says yes. Its wisdom has stood the test of time, shaping the financial habits of some of the most successful communities in history. From small merchants in ancient marketplaces to modern billionaires, the principles of the Talmud have remained a powerful guide to building and sustaining wealth. This book will reveal 7 powerful wealth secrets from the Talmud, principles that, if followed, can transform your financial life. These aren't just abstract ideas, they are practical strategies you can start applying today. You will learn 1. How to attract wealth through hard work and discipline. 2. Why honesty in business leads to long-term success. 3. How generosity increases financial blessings. 4. Why avoiding debt is the key to financial freedom. 5. How to wisely invest and multiply your wealth. Each chapter will break down a Talmudic principle, explain its meaning, and show how you can apply it in real life. This is not just a book about making money. It's about building true wealth, wealth that is sustainable, ethical, and fulfilling. The Talmud teaches that riches without wisdom lead to ruin, but wisdom leads to lasting prosperity. So, are you ready to unlock the wealth secrets of the Talmud? Let's begin. Chapter 1. Wealth comes from God, but hard work is required. Imagine a man named Eliyahu, a merchant in a bustling marketplace. Every day he rises before the sun, arranges his goods and works tirelessly, hoping to build his fortune. Yet, no matter how hard he works, his wealth slips through his fingers. One evening, frustrated and exhausted, he visits the great rabbi. "Eliyahu, Rabbi, I work from morning until night, yet my wealth disappears as quickly as I earn it. Meanwhile, others seem to prosper effortlessly. What is the secret to financial success?" The rabbi smiles knowingly and gestures for Eliyahu to sit. "Rabbi, my son, let me ask you a question. Imagine a farmer who never plants his crops but prays every day for a great harvest. Would his field ever grow?" Eliyahu, "Of course not, Rabbi. You must plant if you want to reap." "Rabbi, and what if another farmer works tirelessly, plowing and planting, but never prays for rain?" Eliyahu thinks for a moment and replies, "His work will be wasted if the skies remain dry." The rabbi nods. "Rabbi, wealth is no different. Hard work without divine blessing is like planting in a drought. But prayer without action is like waiting for rain on an empty field." The Talmud teaches us that effort and faith must work together. That, my son, is the first secret to wealth. The Talmud states, "Everything is in the hands of heaven, except the fear of heaven." In other words, while our circumstances, our opportunities, challenges, and even our wealth may be influenced by divine will, our choices and actions are in our hands. Many people believe wealth is purely luck. Others believe it is only about hard work. But the Talmud offers a deeper truth. We must put in effort, but the ultimate outcome is in God's hands. Think about it this way: a man prays for success but refuses to work. Another works tirelessly but believes his success is entirely his own doing. Both are wrong. The key: work as if everything depends on you. Pray as if everything depends on God. The Talmud teaches, If one says, I have worked hard and not succeeded, do not believe him. If one says, I have not worked hard but have succeeded, do not believe him. If one says, I have worked hard and have succeeded, believe him. In other words, wealth is not random. It follows effort. Let me tell you a story. In medieval Europe, a young Jewish merchant named Ezra began his business with just a small cart and a few bolts of fabric. Every morning he traveled to distant villages selling his goods. One day an elderly woman asked him for the price of a fabric she needed for her son's wedding. Ezra could have overcharged her, she would never know the difference. Instead he gave her a fair price. Years later that woman's son became a wealthy trader. Remembering Ezra's honesty, he gave him the largest contract of his life. Ezra's success wasn't due to luck or deception, it was built on hard work and integrity. Hard work is the foundation of wealth. Honesty secures success in the long run. The Talmud warns against relying only on prayer without taking action. There is a story of a man who sat in the study hall every day, praying for wealth but never working. One day a rabbi approached him. Rabbi, my son, do you expect God to bake the bread and place it in your mouth? Go out and work and God will bless your hands. Faith is powerful, but faith without action leads nowhere. A farmer once prayed every day for his crops to grow but never tilled his land. When nothing sprouted, he cried out, Farmer, God, why have you abandoned me? A voice answered, God, why have you abandoned your field? The lesson is clear. Success requires action. Prayers alone won't build wealth. Many people believe that cutting corners will make them rich faster. But the Talmud warns, one who deceives others in business will lose his livelihood in the long run. Short-term gains through dishonesty eventually lead to long-term failure. In a small town, a baker was known for always giving a little extra flour in every purchase. His competitors laughed at him, saying, You're losing profit. But over time, word spread about the honest baker. Customers traveled from miles away just to buy from him. His integrity brought him more wealth than deception ever could. Honesty builds trust. Trust builds wealth. Ill-gotten money disappears, ethical money grows. The Talmud provides a simple but powerful formula for financial success. 1. Work diligently, there are no shortcuts. 2. Be ethical, dishonest money does not last. 3. Have faith, ultimate success comes from God. When these three principles are followed together, wealth follows. Before Eliyahu left, he asked the rabbi one last question. Eliyahu, how will I know when I have truly succeeded? The rabbi replied, Rabbi, if your wealth brings you peace, if it allows you to help others, and if it was earned with honesty, then, my son, you have truly succeeded. 1. Write down one financial goal and commit to an action step today. 2. Commit to ethical business practices. Never sacrifice integrity for profit. 3. Work hard, trust God, and success will come. The Talmud teaches that wealth is not a mystery, it is the result of hard work, ethical choices, and trust in God. If you plant the seeds and tend the field, God will bring the rain. Now the question is, are you ready to work for your wealth? Chapter 2. The Power of Hard Work and Persistence. A young man named Yosef once traveled to seek wisdom from a great rabbi. He had seen wealthy men in the marketplace, successful traders and landowners, yet he himself struggled to make a living. One evening, he approached the rabbi and asked, Yosef, Rabbi, I see others succeed with ease while I work and see little progress. Why do some men become wealthy, while others struggle their entire lives? The rabbi smiled and motioned for Yosef to sit. Rabbi, tell me, my son, if a man strikes a stone 100 times and on the 100th strike it splits open, was it the final strike that broke the stone? Yosef, no, Rabbi, it was all the strikes combined that weakened it. The rabbi nodded. Rabbi, and yet many stop at the 99th strike, believing their efforts have failed. The Talmud teaches that true success does not come from a single act but from persistence. Hard work is only half the secret, continuing despite failure is the other half. The Talmud states, if a person tells you, I have worked hard and not succeeded, do not believe him. If he says, I have not worked hard, yet I have succeeded, do not believe him. But if he says, I have worked hard and succeeded. Believe him. This teaching is a fundamental truth about wealth and success. Many believe success happens overnight. But the Talmud teaches that only those who persist despite failures will ultimately prosper. Think of the most successful people in history. Were they lucky? Or did they endure failure after failure before finally achieving success? Let me tell you a story. In a small village, a merchant named Levi decided to start selling silk. He borrowed money, purchased fine fabrics, and set up a small stall in the marketplace. But for the first few months he barely sold anything. Some days he sat for hours without a single customer. His competitors laughed at him, saying, "Why do you continue? It's clear that silk will never sell in this town." But Levi refused to give up. He studied his customers. He listened to their needs. He adjusted his prices, improved his marketing, and built relationships. Slowly his sales improved. Years later, the same people who mocked him now came to him for business advice. Levi became one of the wealthiest merchants in the region, not because of luck, but because he refused to quit. Success is not immediate, it is built through persistence. Every failure is a step closer to success. Many people start a business, a project, or even a new skill, but give up when they don't see immediate success. But the Talmud teaches, the ox that plows does not see the harvest, yet without its labor nothing would grow. This means that the effort we put in today may not bear fruit immediately, but in time, it will bring great rewards. A young farmer once planted a bamboo tree. He watered it every day, but for a year nothing happened. No sprout, no sign of growth. Frustrated, he considered giving up. But an older farmer told him, "Keep watering. The roots are growing beneath the soil." For 4 years the bamboo remained unseen. Then in the 5th year it grew 80 feet in just 6 weeks. Did it really grow in 6 weeks? No, it was growing all along just beneath the surface. Success takes time. Just because you don't see results doesn't mean progress isn't happening. Keep going. Your breakthrough might be just around the corner. The Talmud warns, a man may be standing at the gates of his fortune, yet he turns away, unaware how close he was. How many people have given up just before they would have succeeded? How many businesses failed simply because the owner lacked the patience to wait for success? The biggest difference between those who succeed and those who fail is often just a little more effort, a little more time, a little more patience. The Talmud teaches that wealth is not given to the strongest or the luckiest, it is given to those who persist. A stonecutter hammers away at a rock 100 times with no visible effect. Then, on the 101st blow, the stone splits open. Was it that final strike that broke the stone? No, it was the accumulated effect of every strike before it. Do not quit at the 99th strike. Success takes time, stay the course. Before Yosef left, he asked the rabbi one last question. "Yosef, Rabbi, how will I know if my efforts will pay off?" The rabbi replied, "Rabbi, if you plant the seeds, tend the field, and remain patient, the harvest will come. But if you abandon the field too soon, you will never see its fruit." 1. Choose one goal and commit to daily effort, even when results are slow. 2. Embrace failure as a step toward success. 3. Do not quit when success is near, keep going. The Talmud teaches that true wealth comes not from quick wins, but from perseverance, patience, and consistency. If you stay the course, continue working, and refuse to give up, your success is only a matter of time. Now the question is, will you keep striking the stone? Chapter 3. The Power of Honesty and Integrity in Wealth. A well-dressed merchant, respected in the marketplace, once came to a great rabbi with a troubled heart. "Merchant, Rabbi, I have been in business for many years. I see others making fortunes by bending the rules, overcharging, deceiving their customers, using dishonest scales. I have always been honest, yet my success comes slowly. Tell me, is it possible to be both honest and wealthy?" The rabbi nodded knowingly and motioned for the merchant to sit. "Rabbi, my son, let me tell you a story. There was once a man who planted 2 trees. One grew fast, reaching the sky within months, but its fruit was bitter and its roots were weak. The other grew slowly, its roots deep and strong, and when it finally bore fruit, it was sweet and plentiful." The merchant leaned forward, listening intently. "Rabbi, Wealth built on dishonesty is like the fast-growing tree, impressive at first, but it will not stand the test of time. But wealth built on integrity is like the strong tree, it takes time, but its rewards last for generations. The merchant thought for a moment and then asked, "So you are saying that honesty is the key to lasting wealth?" The rabbi smiled. "Rabbi, not just the key, my son. It is the foundation." The Talmud states, the first question a person is asked in the afterlife is, "Were you honest in business?" Not, "Did you pray?" or "Did you fast?" but "Were you honest?" This tells us something profound. God values honesty in business as much as, if not more than, acts of worship. Why? Because honesty is the true test of character. It's easy to be righteous in the synagogue or at home, but how do you behave when money is involved? When no one is watching? When dishonesty could bring quick profit? Let me tell you a story. In a small town, there was a baker known for his honesty. Every morning, he measured his flour carefully, ensuring each customer received the exact amount they paid for. Some days he even gave a little extra. His competitors laughed at him. "You're too honest," they said. "No one will notice if you shave off a little here and there." But the baker refused. Years passed, and one day a wealthy stranger came to town. He asked, "Who is the most honest merchant here?" Everyone pointed to the baker. The stranger was the king's chief supplier, and he was looking for someone he could trust. The honest baker was given a contract to supply bread to the royal palace, a deal that made him wealthier than all his competitors combined. Narrator, the lesson? Honesty builds trust. Trust builds reputation. And reputation builds wealth. The Talmud warns, a dishonest gain is like a fleeting breath, it vanishes quickly. Many people believe that cutting corners, deceiving customers, or avoiding taxes will make them rich. And sometimes in the short term it seems to work. But dishonest money never lasts. It slips through the fingers like sand. Think of all the businesses that grew quickly on fraud. Where are they now? Gone. There was once a wealthy merchant who secretly used lighter weights when selling grain. He overcharged customers, and his fortune grew quickly. One day, a royal inspector came to the marketplace. He uncovered the deception, and the merchant's entire fortune was seized overnight. His name was ruined, and he was forced to leave town in disgrace. Meanwhile, the honest merchants who made less at first continued to grow. Their reputation carried them through generations. Narrator. Dishonest money is like a house built on sand, it looks strong until the storm comes. Honest wealth is built on rock, it withstands the test of time. The Talmud teaches, tithe so that you may become rich. This may seem strange. How does giving away money make you wealthier? Because giving and honesty create abundance. When people trust you, they want to do business with you. They refer customers to you. They return to you. Wealth flows to those who respect wealth. A wealthy landowner always paid his workers on time and treated them fairly. One year there was a terrible drought. Many farms collapsed, but his workers stood by him, working harder than ever because they trusted him. When the drought ended, his farm was one of the only ones left standing. Narrator, the lesson? If you take care of others, wealth will take care of you. The Talmud provides a simple but powerful formula for long-term financial success. 1. Be honest. Wealth gained through integrity lasts. 2. Be patient. Don't chase shortcuts, slow, steady growth wins. 3. Build trust. A good name is worth more than gold. Wealth built on deception is a candle in the wind. Wealth built on honesty shines for generations. Before the merchant left, he asked the rabbi one final question. Merchant, Rabbi, I understand that honesty is important, but what if being honest means I make less money in the short term? The rabbi smiled and said, Rabbi, my son, would you rather own a well that dries up after a year or a spring that flows forever? The merchant understood. And from that day forward, he never compromised his integrity. 1. Make honesty your foundation. It is the best business investment. 2. Build trust with customers, clients, and colleagues. A good name brings wealth. 3. Think long-term. Do not trade lasting success for short-term gain. The Talmud teaches that true wealth is built on honesty. Shortcuts fade. Trust remains. If you want wealth that lasts, Build it on a foundation of truth, integrity, and fairness. Now the question is, are you planting seeds for a single season or for generations to come? Chapter 4. The Power of Generosity, Why Giving Increases Wealth. A wealthy man once came to a great rabbi with a troubled heart. Wealthy man: Rabbi, I have worked hard and earned great wealth. Yet I feel no joy in it. No matter how much I gain, it never seems to be enough. Tell me, what is the secret to true wealth? The rabbi smiled and pointed to the window. Rabbi, tell me, my son, what do you see outside? The man looked through the glass. Wealthy man: I see people, merchants, travelers, beggars, and workers going about their day. Then the rabbi led him to a mirror. Rabbi, and now what do you see? The man laughed. Wealthy man: I see myself, of course. The rabbi nodded. Rabbi, both the window and the mirror are made of glass. But when silver is added to the glass, you see only yourself. My son, your wealth has become like silver on glass. It has blocked your view of others. Remove the silver and you will see the world again. That is the secret to wealth. The man thought deeply. Wealthy man: You mean by giving I will feel rich? Rabbi, by giving you will understand wealth. The Talmud states, tithe so that you may become rich. At first, this seems like a paradox. How can giving away money make you wealthier? Shouldn't the way to wealth be through keeping more, not giving more? Yet the Talmud teaches that wealth is like a flowing river. If you try to dam it up, it becomes stagnant. But if you let it flow, it increases and nourishes everything around it, including yourself. Let me tell you a story. There was once a merchant named Ezra. He was known for his success, but even more so for his generosity. He made it a rule that for every 10 coins he earned, he would give one to charity. His friends mocked him. You will lose everything, they said. The more you give, the less you will have. But Ezra smiled. The more I give, the more I receive, he replied. And strangely enough, it was true. While others faced setbacks and losses, Ezra's business flourished. People trusted him, admired him, and wanted to do business with him. His generosity attracted opportunities that money alone could never buy. Years later, when famine struck the land, it was Ezra, who had always given, who had enough to sustain himself and others. Giving does not reduce wealth, it multiplies it. A generous person attracts blessings, opportunities, and goodwill. The Talmud also teaches, more than the giver benefits the receiver benefits the giver. How can this be? If you give money to someone in need, isn't it they who benefit? Yes, but giving does something powerful to the giver. It changes their relationship with wealth. A person who gives realizes they have enough. A person who hoards always feels they need more. This is why many wealthy people feel empty despite their riches, because they see money as something to keep rather than something to use for good. A business owner once decided to donate a portion of his company's earnings to help struggling students. At first he hesitated. What if profits fall? He wondered. But something incredible happened. His company grew even more. Employees worked harder, knowing they were part of something meaningful. Customers preferred his brand, knowing their purchases helped others. By giving, he didn't just build wealth, he built a legacy. Wealth is a tool, not a goal. Use it wisely. The more you give, the more opportunities come your way. The Talmud warns, a person who is greedy for wealth will never be satisfied. Money itself does not create happiness. If you believe wealth is only for yourself, you will always feel empty, always chasing more. But if you see wealth as something to be shared, you will feel abundant no matter how much you have. There was a man who spent his whole life saving, hoarding, and never sharing. He never gave to the poor, never helped his family, never used his money to make the world better. One night, thieves broke into his home and stole everything. With his fortune gone, he had nothing left, not even a good name. But those who had shared their wealth? They had built communities, relationships, and legacies that could never be stolen. Hoarded wealth disappears. Shared wealth multiplies. What you give lasts far longer than what you keep. The Talmud teaches, 1. Give generously. The more you give, the more you open the flow of abundance. 2. Give wisely. Support causes that align with your values. 3. Give consistently. Make generosity a habit, not an afterthought. A stingy person repels wealth. A generous person attracts it. Before the wealthy man left, he asked the rabbi one last question. Wealthy man, Rabbi, how much should I give? The rabbi smiled and said, Rabbi, give until you no longer feel like you are losing. The man nodded. And from that day on he gave freely and his wealth only grew. 1. Start giving today even if it's small. 2. Make generosity a habit, not just an occasional act. 3. Trust that by giving you will never lack. The Talmud teaches that the true secret to wealth is not in how much you keep, but in how much you give. Give and you will never be poor. Hoard and you will never feel rich. Now the question is, what will you do with your wealth? Chapter 5. Avoiding debt and living within your means. A young man named Daniel had recently opened his first business. Excited by his ambitions, he borrowed money to expand too quickly. He took loans for a larger storefront, expensive decorations, and even a luxury carriage to impress his customers. At first, business was good and he felt on top of the world. But then a slow season came. Sales dropped, but the debts remained. Month after month, he struggled to make payments. The stress of owing so much consumed him. One day he went to a rabbi for advice. Daniel, Rabbi, I thought I was building my fortune, but now I am drowning. What should I do? The rabbi sighed and pointed to a bird perched on a tree branch. Rabbi, do you see that bird? It is free. It flies where it wishes and nothing weighs it down. Then the rabbi pointed to a horse pulling a heavy cart. Rabbi, and now do you see the horse? It carries a burden it cannot escape. My son, you have put yourself in the place of the horse. Debt is a yoke around the neck. The wise man avoids it, so he may remain as free as the bird. Daniel nodded, finally understanding. Debt is not wealth, it is a trap. The Talmud teaches, one who borrows and does not repay is wicked. Why such strong words? Because debt is a form of slavery. When a person owes money, they are no longer free. Their decisions are no longer their own. They work not to build wealth but to pay off past mistakes. The Talmud warns us, do not live on borrowed money, for he who borrows today will borrow again tomorrow. This means that debt creates dependency. Once you begin relying on it, it becomes a cycle that is hard to break. Wealth is not about how much you make, but how much you keep. Debt is a burden, avoid it whenever possible. There were two farmers, Jacob and Isaac. Jacob wanted to expand quickly, so he took large loans to buy more land, better equipment, and more workers. He was certain that in a few years he would be the wealthiest man in town. Isaac, on the other hand, grew his farm slowly. He saved his earnings and bought land only when he could afford it. At first, Jacob's farm was much larger and more impressive. But then a bad harvest year came. Crops failed and Jacob still had to repay his loans. Isaac, however, had no debts. Even though the year was hard, he survived. Within 5 years, Jacob lost everything while Isaac continued to prosper. Narrator, the lesson? The slow, steady path is often the safest. A man with no debt can weather any storm. The Talmud warns, who is rich? He who is satisfied with his portion. Many people believe riches come from earning more money, but the Talmud teaches that true wealth comes from learning to be satisfied. Think of those who constantly upgrade their homes, cars, and luxuries, even when they cannot afford them. They chase the illusion of wealth, but in reality they are drowning in debt. They do not own their lifestyle owns them. A wealthy merchant in a large city was known for his modesty. While others dressed in fine silk, he wore simple garments. While others bought grand mansions, he lived comfortably but within his means. One day a younger merchant laughed at him. You are rich. Why not show it? The older merchant smiled. My wealth is my own, not my master. Years later, the younger merchant lost everything in a bad business deal. He had spent too much, borrowed too much, and saved too little. The older merchant, however, remained wealthy and secure. Narrator, the lesson? Live simply. A modest man with savings is richer than a wealthy man in debt. The Talmud offers 3 powerful principles for financial security. 1. Live below your means. Never spend everything you earn. 2. Avoid debt whenever possible. It is better to grow slowly than to expand recklessly. 3. Save for the future. A wise man prepares for unexpected hardships. If you follow these 3 principles, you will never be poor. For those who are already in debt, the Talmud teaches a way out. 1. Stop borrowing immediately. Do not add more weight to your burden. 2. Live simply. Reduce unnecessary expenses. 3. Pay off debts aggressively. The faster you free yourself, the sooner you regain control. 4. Never go back to debt. Once free, stay free. A man once found himself buried in heavy debt. At first he felt hopeless. But then he followed the Talmudic path. He cut his spending to the essentials. He found additional work to pay off his loans faster. He refused to borrow again, no matter how tempting it was. It took 5 years, but eventually he was completely free. And the best part? He never allowed himself to fall into debt again. Narrator: freedom from debt is worth more than gold. A man without debt sleeps peacefully at night. The Talmud teaches that true wealth is not about possessions, it is about freedom. 1. A rich man with debt is still a slave. 2. A poor man with savings is truly free. 3. Live simply, save wisely, and you will always have enough. Before Daniel left, he asked the rabbi one last question. Daniel, Rabbi, if I never take loans, how will I ever achieve great success? The rabbi smiled. Rabbi, a house built on a weak foundation will crumble, but a house built slowly, brick by brick, will stand forever. Be patient, my son. True wealth comes to those who build wisely. 1. Cut unnecessary expenses. Live within your means. 2. If you have debt, pay it off aggressively. Your future depends on it. 3. Never trade financial freedom for temporary luxury. The Talmud teaches that a man without debt is a man who owns his life. If you avoid debt, live simply, and save wisely, you will always have enough. Now the question is, will you be the bird or the horse pulling the cart? Chapter 6. The Talmudic investment strategy: how to build wealth wisely. A young man named Avi had worked hard and saved his money. But he didn't know what to do next. One evening he approached a wise rabbi. Avi, Rabbi, I have saved a little wealth, but I do not know how to invest it. Some say to put it all in business. Others say to buy land. Some tell me to keep it in gold. What is the safest way to grow my wealth? The rabbi smiled and picked up a stool with 3 legs. Rabbi, tell me, my son, which stool is stronger, a stool with 1 leg or a stool with 3? Avi laughed. Avi, the one with 3, of course. A stool with 1 leg would fall over. The rabbi nodded. Rabbi, so too with wealth. If you rely on one source of income, you risk losing everything. But if you invest wisely and spread your wealth, you will always stand strong. Avi thought deeply. Avi, you mean I should never put all my money in one place? Rabbi, exactly, my son. The Talmud teaches that wise investment is the key to lasting wealth. The Talmud states, a person should always divide his assets into 3. 1/3 in land, 1/3 in business, and 1/3 kept in reserve. This ancient wisdom is a guide for how to build and protect wealth. 1. 1/3 in land, something stable that holds its value. 2. 1/3 in business, something that generates income. 3. 1/3 in reserve, savings or cash for emergencies. This is the earliest form of investment diversification. Let me tell you a story. A merchant named David had worked hard and built a small fortune. He had 3 friends who each gave him advice. The first friend said, put all your money into real estate. Land will always have value. The second friend said, invest it all into business. Money should work for you. The third friend said, keep it all in gold. You never know when hard times will come. David thought carefully. Instead of choosing just one, he followed the Talmud's advice. He bought land so his wealth would be stable. He invested in business so his money could grow. He kept some savings in case of emergencies. Years later, a great drought hit. Land values fell, but he still had income from his business. His business struggled, but he had savings to survive. His savings kept him secure until the economy recovered. His friends who invested everything in one place lost everything. But because David diversified, he remained wealthy. Never put all your wealth in one place. A wise man prepares for both good and bad times. The Talmud warns, Do not put all your money in one basket, lest you lose everything at once. Many people get excited about a new opportunity, a new business, a booming stock, a tempting investment. They put everything into it, but if it fails, they lose everything. A wise man protects himself from risk by spreading his investments. There was once a man who heard about a new business that promised huge profits. He took all his savings and invested in it. At first, the returns were amazing. He thought, "This is the best decision I've ever made." But then the market collapsed overnight. He had put everything into one place and in an instant it was gone. Had he followed the Talmud's wisdom, he would have been protected. Narrator, the lesson? Never gamble your future on one investment. Always have a safety net. The Talmud's three-part investment plan is still relevant today. 1. 1/3 in land. Invest in something stable like real estate. 2. 1/3 in business. Build a business or invest in income-generating assets. 3. 1/3 in reserves. Keep savings for emergencies or opportunities. Following this simple rule can protect you from financial disaster. The Talmud also teaches, wealth that comes quickly will not last, but wealth that grows steadily will endure. Many people chase fast money, risky investments, gambling, and speculation. But true wealth is built slowly and wisely. A patient man will always have wealth. A greedy man will always chase and never catch it. A fisherman named Eli made 1 gold coin a day from his work. Instead of spending it all, he saved 1/3. He used 1/3 to invest in better fishing equipment. He used 1/3 for daily living expenses. Over time, his savings grew. His investments improved his business. Years later, he owned a fleet of fishing boats. Meanwhile, his neighbor, who spent everything he earned, remained poor. Small, steady investments lead to great wealth. A man who saves and invests wisely will never be poor. The Talmud teaches that wealth must be built on a strong foundation. 1. A man with only one source of income is vulnerable. 2. A man with multiple investments is secure. 3. The wise build wealth patiently, the foolish chase quick riches. If you follow this formula, you will always have enough. Before Avi left, he asked the rabbi one last question. Avi, Rabbi, what if I don't have much money to invest? The rabbi smiled. Rabbi, my son, start with what you have. Even a single coin can be divided wisely. Avi nodded, understanding that wealth is not about how much you have, but how wisely you manage it. 1. Start following the Talmud's investment rule today. 2. Never put all your money in one place. Diversify. 3. Build wealth slowly and wisely. Fast money disappears. The Talmud teaches that true wealth is not built in a day. It is built with patience, wisdom, and discipline. If you follow this path, you will always have enough. Now the question is, will you build your wealth wisely or gamble it on chance? Chapter 7. The importance of patience in wealth building. A young man named Levi sat in the marketplace, frustrated. He had worked for several years, yet his fortune was slow to grow. Every day he saw men driving fine carriages, living in grand homes, and dressed in the finest garments. Why not him? One day he approached a wise rabbi. Levi, Rabbi, I work hard, but my wealth grows too slowly. I see others succeed quickly and I feel like I am being left behind. What am I doing wrong? The rabbi smiled and led Levi outside to the garden. He pointed at a wheat field and a large fruit tree. Rabbi, tell me, my son, which of these plants grows faster? Levi, the wheat, of course. It grows in just a few months. The tree takes years. The rabbi nodded. Rabbi, and which one will last longer? Levi thought for a moment and understood. Rabbi, wealth gained too quickly is like wheat, fast to grow, fast to disappear. But wealth that grows steadily like a tree will stand for generations. Levi finally realized, patience is the key to lasting wealth. The Talmud teaches, an inheritance gained quickly in the beginning will not be blessed in the end. What? Because wealth gained too fast is often lost just as quickly. Many chase get-rich-quick schemes, but easy money often disappears like sand in the wind. Those who build wealth slowly and wisely will keep it for a lifetime. There was once a merchant who borrowed heavily to expand his business overnight. For a short time he was the richest man in town. He spent freely, lived extravagantly, and believed his fortune would last forever. But when hard times came, his debts crushed him. Meanwhile, his neighbor, who grew his business slowly and cautiously, remained wealthy. Narrator, the lesson? The slow path is often the safest. A man who rushes to riches often rushes to ruin. The Talmud warns, do not be in a hurry to acquire wealth, for he who gathers little by little will increase it. Many people want success overnight, but they forget that true wealth takes time. A farmer does not plant seeds one day and expect to harvest the next. He must water, nurture, and wait. So too with wealth, it must be built step by step. A young carpenter named Yosef started with a small workshop. Each year he saved a little and expanded his tools. He never borrowed more than he could afford. He grew slowly but steadily. 20 years later, Yosef owned the largest carpentry business in the city. Meanwhile, others who tried to expand too quickly were crushed by debt. Narrator, the lesson? A man who builds wisely will never be poor. A man who rushes to riches will never be satisfied. The Talmud warns, a man may be standing at the gates of his fortune, yet he turns away, unaware how close he was. How many people give up just before they would have succeeded? They say, it is taking too long, and they quit, not realizing they were one step away from success. A stonecutter strikes a rock 100 times and nothing happens. Then, on the 101st blow, the stone splits in two. Did that final strike break the stone? No, it was the 100 blows before it. Many people give up on the 100th strike, never knowing that one more effort would have brought success. Narrator, the lesson? Success comes not from a single effort, but from repeated persistence. The Talmud teaches, 1. Wealth takes time, do not rush it. 2. Avoid shortcuts, most lead to failure. 3. Small, steady progress leads to great success. A patient man will always have wealth. A greedy man will always be chasing it. If you want to build lasting wealth, 1. Save consistently even if it's small. Wealth grows over time. 2. Invest wisely, don't chase quick money. 3. Be patient, trust the process, and success will come. A fisherman made 1 gold coin a day from his work. Instead of spending everything, he saved 1/3 and invested in better nets. Over time, his small investments multiplied, and he owned an entire fleet of boats. Meanwhile, his neighbor, who spent everything he earned, remained poor. Narrator, the lesson? Small, daily progress leads to great success. Before Levi left, he asked the rabbi one last question. Levi, Rabbi, how will I know when my wealth is secure? The rabbi smiled. Rabbi, when you no longer rush, when you no longer worry, and when you build not for today but for the future. Levi nodded, understanding at last that patience is the greatest wealth of all. 1. Stop chasing fast money, build wealth wisely. 2. Be patient, trust that slow growth is lasting growth. 3. Remember, success is just one step beyond where most people quit. The Talmud teaches that true wealth is not built in a day. If you stay the course, continue working, and refuse to give up, your success is only a matter of time. Now the question is, will you keep striking the stone or will you quit before the breakthrough?